His divine mission of Vedavyasapriya Swami Prabhupada ki Skon Bibli founder Acharya Prabhupada ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki प्रेम से कहो कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कंद राधा कंद गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रज में वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा माई की जय। जमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। समावेत भक्तवृंद की जय। जय गौर ब्रह्मानंद। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. Glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Guru. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, chapter number 29, text number 38. Saha Achirad Eva Rajarshe Syat Achyuta Katha Ashraya Shranavataha Shraddhadhanasya Nityada Syat Adhiyataha. So Achirada Deva Rajarshe Syadachyuta Kathashraya Shrunata Shraddhanasya Nityada Syadhiyataha. So Achirada Rajarshe Syadachyuta Kathashraya Shrunvataha Shraddhanasya Nityada Syadhiyataha. So Achirada Rajarshe Syadachyuta Kathashraya Shrunvataha Shraddhanasya Nityada Syadhiyataha. Mothers.
So Achirada Rajasya Syadachyuta Kathashraya Shranavataha Shraddhanasya Nityada Syadat Adityaha.
Saha, that Achirad, very soon, Eva, certainly, Rajarshe, oh best of the kings, Syat becomes Achyuta, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Katha, narrations, Ashraya, depending on, Shranavataha, of one who is hearing, Shraddhanasya, faithful, Nityada, always, Syat becomes Adhiyataha, by cultivation. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O best of the kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of Krishna consciousness and in hearing of the Lord's activities, very soon becomes eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Constant engagement in transcendental loving service of Vasudeva means constantly hearing the glories of the Lord. Principles of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Mandanam, Dasyam, Sakhimatmam, Nivedanam are the only means by which perfection can be attained. Simply by hearing of the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि श्रीप्रिय। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यः च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। सो अचिरादेव राजर्षे स्यात् अच्युत प्रकाश्रयः शृण्वतः श्रद्धानुस्य नित्यदा स्यात् धीयतः। O best of the kings, one who is faithful, who is always hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always engaged in the culture of consciousness and hearing of the Lord's activity, very soon become eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. So, Manu Maharaj is advising by conclusion that hearing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and cultivating the culture of Krishna consciousness, one's all purposes of life will be fulfilled, because he will be able to see Lord face to face. When we do not come to the conclusion that all the purposes of our life will be fulfilled, means not apart from the Lord or His desire, how is it possible to see the face of the Lord before that? One may, however, keep on believing, keep on practicing so many things, and at the same time he is trying to fulfill his own separate desires, just like in household life. We try to live something separately, not in connection with him. But we are pious. We come and do only at the time of, prayers, temple visit to the temples, like that. How is it possible to fulfill the desire this way, separately? It is not possible. And therefore we cannot see the Lord face to face. So the word is the culture of Krishna consciousness. Culture means a practicable way of life that cleverly dovetails all our desires into Krishna conscious desires. Krishna consciousness means consciousness of Krishna. Now, most of the time we work, whether apart or connected with Krishna, is through our consciousness. To achieve a desired result, one must act consciously. That conscious activity cannot become any way apart from the Lord or His desire. One may act whimsically, just like here, a pure devotee like Dhruva Maharaj is acting whimsically to kill all the yakshas in place of one. That is called willful indulgence in the working of the nature or working of Lord Krishna, because nature is not independent to work. She is under the direction of Lord Krishna. So, anything over and above such activity is called not dovetail to Lord Krishna. Krishna consciousness challenges us to use all our activities, whether it is for selfish interest or extended interest. Extended interest is called lokasangraham, for the welfare of people at large. But if it is not geared in the consciousness of Krishna, then it has no value. One cannot fulfill the desires. So, culture of Krishna consciousness means we have to invest in our consciousness while performing conscious activities, Krishna. We have to invest in. Therefore, that activity will become glorified. Otherwise, we and understand the activities which are transcendental in nature of the Lord Himself, which themselves are very purifying and can bring us, in front of the Lord face to face. So, this has been described. This is the Bhagavad principle. Simply by giving an oral reception, an attentive oral reception, one can see Lord face to face. These are called Krishna conscious activity. Means whatever Krishna does, it's not within the jurisdiction of our brain to understand, because our brain is made up of material energy, 3 modes of material nature. It cannot perceive the in-depth understanding of transcendental nature of this Krishna conscious activity. Krishna consciousness means to rise above the platform of material. So even material nature is going to work under His direction. Who are we to do any independent work for our own sense gratification? It is in total violation to Krishna consciousness. Total. We cannot be independent. It is in total violation. So, culture of Krishna consciousness, one must invest his energies into it. This is the art of living. It's not that difficult. If it is a continuous activity to invest consciousness and perform all the activities consciously, but whose consciousness? Our consciousness, our sense gratification consciousness, or Krishna consciousness? Even in attentive hearing, with faith and conviction, it is said, simply one who gives a faithful, means he has shraddha-dharnasya. So many times, even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Asradadhanasya purushasya dharmasyasya parantapa aprapnuvanti mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartam. Those who are faithless in this eternal activity of Krishna consciousness. Eternal doesn't mean that it will happen after our death. Don't wait for that. It is a continual process. It's right now to be observed. There is no tomorrow. Right now. And then it will be forever. If one doesn't start right now any activity of Krishna consciousness, for him there won't be any tomorrow. So why we should slack in cultivating that kind of faith? Ashraddhanasya purushasya dharmasyasya parantapa. That his soul is transcendental and the supporter of his soul is the Lord. And the Lord tries to explain about himself and his nature, which is all glorious. So why should we simply have envious mentality, not to hear, not to pay any attention, not to cultivate even faith on it? We must cultivate faith right from the beginning of our lives. Because the result is that aprapnuvanti mam, they will not achieve. They will return mrityu samsara vartamani in a repeated birth and death. Today is Nrsimha Chaturdashi. Wherever there is an akhyan or the story about the Lord's appearance, and there is always a conclusive remarks by the speaker that if one hears this narration with full faith and conviction, he will achieve all the desired result of his life. Actually, there is no exaggeration in this. There is no exaggeration in it. Because Krishna bhakti karile sarva karma krita hoy. That is the definition of Shraddha. Shraddha means the faith, but it's not a belief or a kind of so-called yeah, I agree, but then I don't agree. Not that kind of flickering belief system. Shraddha shabde sudhrada vishwas kar nischay Krishna bhakti karile sarva karma krita hoy. The employment of Krishna consciousness culture in all our conscious activities is required. That is called cultivation of culture of Krishna consciousness. It has to be cultivated, means there is a field of activity. The body is the field. Mind, words and activities are going to till, and we will be putting the seed of our Krishna conscious faith. So naturally there will be beautiful Krishna conscious crops resulting, and then we have to reap the result. Sometimes we are sick and tired of reading these so-called eulogies without proper understanding. That is not the fault of the writer. He is realized. Otherwise, why such a simple sentence in the mind of those who do not have faith. Oh, every literature, everybody writes like that. They write even for the demigods like that. If one cultivates faith on Lord Ganesha, then all his achievements will be fruitful, perfect. But demigods also, they start writing like that. No, it's only the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. As a culture means the one that grows. To have a culture means that expands. The sanskaras are called culture, right? But they expand our life. They expand our participation in the working of the nature very cooperatively rather than destructively if we don't invest in it. So Srila Prabhupada is a cultivation of Krishna conscious culture will put you right face to face with the Lord. There is no exaggeration. It's not a blind belief. But this is what is required, that we have to come to the point of a very confirmed, provable faith. Provable faith. It's not that I have a faith because I was born with it. Anybody can change their faith if they are not convinced or if they don't try to understand it. But in the transcendental nature, all the energies, the source of energy is the transcendental, Supreme Deity, Lord Shri Krishna. And therefore, every living entity, which are also fragments of his energies, they must remain in tune by consciousness in whatever they do, whatever they eat, whatever they offer as a homage, whatever they give in charity, or whatever they do the austerity for with Krishna. They must remain tuned with Krishna because everything belongs to him. He created this material world to understand that without him, our efforts will be frustrated. However, we may try to keep happy by artificial means of hallucination, it will not work. Krishna may fulfill our desire to remain in hallucination. That doesn't mean I am happy without Krishna. But it will wear off because that's not the desire of the Lord, neither the desire of material energy. So material energy is so much educating and providing us opportunity to understand the behind the material nature, the working of the Lord is there. Queen Kunti is praying to Lord Krishna that your appearance is so bewildering that there are multifarious reasons. People who are attached to you in different relationships. Some may think that, oh, you just came to fulfill the desire of Devaki. Oh, no, you just came to kill Kamsa. Oh, no, you just try to, you came to hear the plea of Mother Earth because she was overburdened. And somebody said, well, you wanted to favor the demigods. But if someone is thinking only on certain facets of his appearance, if all the facets are true individually, then all the facets belong to one and one person only, that is Krishna. So he can fulfill the desire of everyone simultaneously. So Dhruva, you are trying to fulfill the desire by killing all the yakshas as a revenge to your brother's death. They will be frustrated. These yakshas are also powerful. But you are not meant to go into this. Therefore you are advised to stop it. Because Krishna promised that he will be protected by Maya. And if the Jiva deliberately wants to go into the Mayic action because of his envious nature, whatever it is, separated, eternally separated person, even though he is favored, but he doesn't want to take the opportunity to come to his senses on his own, because that ghastly action also carrying him away. Can't prevent himself, can't stop himself. So Manu Maharaj came to instruct. And this is the conclusion. But this conclusion is so powerful that intelligent people will immediately turn into a resolve of Krishna conscious activities. They will come to the conclusion. And the conclusion is that simply by putting your faith in Krishna and try to cultivate the culture of Krishna consciousness in your daily activities, in whatever you do, can bring you the Supreme Lord face to face. And that is perfection. So people with so many clouded desires, they want to worship somehow or another, because it is said it's so easy. But they get frustrated. Looks like it is so distant. Oh, how come it is not happening to me? But the meaning is pretty astounding, that it all depends upon us at what extent we want to. Are we employing all the energies at our disposal or command with Lord Krishna added in it? The purpose of which is to serve him, because it is his energies. So this is the sum total of all the processes, even in devotional service. Srila Prabhupada says, in all different kinds of activities, the principle of Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam are the only means by which perfection can be attained. Because it involves Krishna. Simply by hearing the glories of the Lord, one is elevated to the transcendental position. Hearing is so perfect. Chanting is so perfect, glorifying the Lord's qualities. All his wonderful qualities are described by holy names. Then one very soon become eligible to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Because of the conception of transcendence is personified. Personification is there. It's not simply somewhat an obscure energy or some distant locality of where the Lord is. But Lord is a person. Personal God and personality of Godhead are two different things. In Christianity, we are told personal God. Personal means private. How he is so private? Private means according to our conception. And our conception is clouded. So we think this is my God and that is yours. No. The personality of God. God is himself a person. That's what it means. The Lord himself is the person. He is an ordinary person. He is the supreme personality of God. That all the gods, demigods, they are emanating from him. So he is the head of everyone, from whom everything is emanating. And we should consider him and him to be the topmost worshipable deity. So, all the processes of bhakti are the only antidote to our karmic reaction, even fighting in the battlefield. And it's an antidote. Better to perform all the activities in the consciousness of the Lord. Then and then it will be all right. Arjuna was excited to fight in consciousness of him. And here Dhruva Maharaj is incited to stop fighting in consciousness of the Lord. Is it not? What's the difference here? The activity of fighting or not fighting is the common? No. The activity of application of Krishna consciousness according to the desire of the Lord is the only distinguishing factor. When Krishna wants to kill, the devotee has to support that activity. When Krishna doesn't want to kill, then devotees have to support his desire and stop killing. That is Krishna consciousness, application. So, soon, very soon he will become righteous because he has attained the platform of transcendence. Even however abominable activity one might have performed, but if he is situated in Krishna consciousness with firm faith, then he will be righteous. Vichet suduracharo bhajate bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva hi samyak vyavasati. Kshipram bhavati dharmatma swasachantam vigacchati. So they will become righteous. Kaunte pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. My devotee will never perish. Dhruva Maharaj started fighting with all the yakshas because there was a sense of fear that if he has killed my brother, then they will start killing all of us. Better let me wipe them out first. An offense is done out of fear, but defense is done fearlessly if we invest Krishna in it. So, if we are fearful, then we must invest Lord Shri Krishna more and more in our lives. So, and one who is confirmed in protection of the Lord, then he becomes fearless. He becomes fearless. So, that kind of faith is required. Prahlad Maharaj was fearless. While all the demigods, including wife of Lord Nrsimhadev, they were all trembling in fear because they never saw such an anger in their existence. All the demigods first prayed to cool down Nrsimhadev. They failed. They spoke in very, very high, choicest poetry the glorification of the Lord. Because they are expert in glorifying the Lord. But they failed. Brahma told Mother Lakshmi, go and pacify your husband. Oh, my husband? No. She was doubtful. So she didn't dare to go. But Prahlad was fearless. A young boy. And he was so much obedient. It's not that he was waiting for his turn to come, but he was in all humility, always remembering the Lord. And now he is face to face. So Brahma told Prahlad, the Lord appeared for you. Please go and pacify. We can't. And Prahlad fearlessly paid his obeisances. And Nrsimhadev's attention went to him, picked him up, set him, pat him. You know? So, Prabhupada said, a pure devotee who has invested the faith and developed the culture of Krishna consciousness is pure, and he is the sum total of all the good qualities of all the demigods. So he is the leader of all the demigods. A pure devotee is the leader of all the demigods. So we can see that's the reason. One who remembers constantly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prahlad taught us is the exemplification of going back to Godhead simply by remembering the Lord. Of course, he chanted some time, but his entire focus was on remembering. He was remembering the Lord's presence everywhere. Even in the pillar. So, in this way we can understand the importance of the prerequisite faith. And faith only on the holy name Then simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, all the purposes of my life will be served. It means whatever activities we perform must become a kirtan, glorification of the Lord. We start from chanting, but the chanting has transcendental effect. So all our material activities or spending of material energy is also transformed into spiritual by investment of remembrance of the Lord, which is a Krishna conscious activity. So consciousness is always transcendental, but we pollute by our dirty desires. We clean it by chanting. And we carefully cultivate, means nurturing is there. No weeds should grow. So anartha, weeds of anarthas. Now this is anartha. Too much killing is an anartha, unwanted activity. Prahlad may easily become, Dhruv Maharaj can easily become obsessed with the anarthas. Then what will the result? It will be devastating result. Rather, let him stop now. So, grandfather Manu Maharaj is thus concluding a very nice proposal. You stop this activity, just chant Hare Krishna. Stop killing and just chant Hare Krishna. And you will see the Lord face to face, that He is the cause of all causes and you are not. Thus you surrender and you start glorifying His activity. By such fighting, don't try to glorify yourself. Overindulgence, I can work this out. But if we lose the consciousness of the Lord in such activity, then what is the use of such? Rather, our activities should attract the attention of the Lord, and He will reciprocate with love back to us. So in this way, we can understand that dhyata, dhya means intelligence. One who is intelligent, he is carefully, cultivating his Krishna consciousness in each and every action. Okay. Question answer later. So Prabhupada ki